So there's a practical one of like where non-human identities and agentic access are basically creating those layers that can actually address that conflict, right? Like if I'm comparing it for the geeks here that are listening to that show, like so like any non-human identity management is like the C++, and the agentic access is the Python that is based on the C++, right? Putting that aside for a second, it's an absolute right statement. We want to unleash the beast, right? We want to unleash the power of AI. But when you're unleashing the beast, you're unleashing the beast, right? And you're creating a situation in which like it's dangerous. Like, the main difference between like humans like access and AI access and agents access is two things, right? It's accountability and boundaries, right? Like we as humans, we have accountability. We're accountable. Even like the craziest, like you still have some level of accountability, right? And the second one, the way we as human beings surviving the day-to-day, we have boundaries, right? You're not just jumping into the street or like and without looking. You like have your boundaries. You have your checks and balances, right? You're doing those things before you're making a decision, right? Agents learning to do that as well, but they're learning and they will continue learning in 2 years, right? And the boundaries are not necessarily there for them to be sufficient, because agents' mission is to succeed with the intent that was set, not to broader than that, right? It's just like, it's like he will win the battle, right? He's not looking at the war, right? And this
and they just want to please you, which means they're going to figure out whatever it takes to please you. They're going to try to do that.
Yeah, and like if we're comparing it to relationships, right? Like if one side is always trying to please the other side, it always becomes a toxic relationship, isn't it? So that's kind of like what's happening in the world right now, and I totally agree with you. So the way to address that is actually unleashing the beast, but putting the right boundaries of access and the right boundaries of time, right? Like you can perform that intent with those boundaries for that period of time or for the period of action, because then we're basically boxing everything. Although we don't have it like naturally for agents, we're creating like an artificial boundaries for the agents to operate in, and he will perform as good as he can in these boundaries. And this is on us as an enterprise to create those boundaries for them.
And it's clearly, I think, again, so many of the themes of this conversations where I'm having on Inflection Point is that we are the old world and the new way, the old ways of doing things, even in technology, like in high tech, right? I've been in high tech in almost 30 years. Those old ways and methods are no longer going to serve the needs of the business going forward. Whether that's, okay, even at a 10,000 person company, I'm used to dealing with 10,000 identities. Okay, but when just by myself, I can spin up 50 different agent swarms that can do different things, all of a sudden the numbers just become exponentially higher and greater. It's like how, and this is again the challenge that I hear over and over again, is how a normal GRC team or a normal identity and access management team, right? They're like, well, we get the request, we look at what you're going to do, and then we're going to provision. How does that world, what has to happen to transform that world? Because in an agentic world, you're not going to spend 3 days trying to review access request, right? Again, just in terms of the business trying to compete, obviously, if you're not trying to compete and use these tools, then it doesn't matter. But for businesses that are trying to get an edge and take advantage of all this digital intelligence, what do you see? What does that ultimately end up looking like?